Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. Back again. Listen, big up your damn selves. We've had our previews. We've had our previews with Troops. We've had them with James. We've had our opposition analysis. We've spoken about what Arsenal could potentially do in this game. But now it's time to talk about what we are going to do. What are our intentions going into this game at Stamford Bridge? We're at home. We're the team that are meant to be leading, pushing, and trying to overturn this nasty record. Now, to start with the injuries, it's so tough to keep up because even when you think everybody's coming back to fitness, the press conference will come and there'll be new injuries and players that are missing or struggling. And that will all be in the scroll bar down below because the full extent of what we're dealing with is ridiculous. But just to go through some of the fresh ones, Disasi, will he be available? They're assessing him at the moment. Broja is not available. Jackson is also being assessed as well, which is a big issue because we don't really have another option. If Broja's out and Jackson is being assessed and if he doesn't start, then we're in some serious problems. And of course, James is being assessed. But to be honest with James, even though he's back in training and we saw images and pictures and whatnot, it just makes sense to start Gusto in this team. He's back from suspension. He is fit. He did play for France in the international break. He made his first cap. There's no need to risk James against Martinelli, one of the most explosive wingers in the league, who's going to be taking him on relentlessly. We just don't need to take that gamble. So for me, that's a lot easier. But with Disasi and with Jackson, we really can't afford for these guys not to be available because who's coming in for these guys? I don't know. I really don't know. Badiashile is back in training as well. Another one, just in case. In the same case as Reece James, I wouldn't risk him. Again, he's only just come back. It's a long injury that he's had from the back end of last season. I wouldn't bring Badiashile back into this game from the start. No problem seeing him on the bench, but ideally I want to have the same centre-back pairing and the same defenders that we've had in this last few games that we've been going on a nice little run. Now, going into this game, the mentality has to be to win. Now, in my predictions, and I'll say it from the get-go, they have been consistent. 1-1, 1-1, draw. It's not to say I don't want to win. It's pretty obvious I do. If we win this game, we'll be able to definitely get our elbows out a little bit more. We'll be moving up the table. And with some of the results that we've had this season, which we were expected to win, we actually do need to do something in a game where we're not favourites to kind of pull back the deficit. But I don't think the season hangs on this game. It definitely doesn't. But in terms of our record against top teams, it's about time we overturned, what is a dismal record against Arsenal in particular. It's about time we overturn that. It's a massive test for Pochettino. It's a massive test for these players as well. Because it's an opportunity against a big team, against a top team, to actually defy the odds and to put your claim out there as to why you are some of the best youngsters on the planet. The transfer fees certainly match some of the best youngsters in the planet or some of the best players in the planet in terms of the fees we're spending on you. So it's about time that you step up to the plate and you show that in a big game, on a big occasion, at home, in front of our crowd, that you can deliver against some of your counterparts. Because Arsenal are a very young team. The next 10 years, we're meant to be, expected to be, up there with them and jousting, battling with the best and trying to win titles with this playing group that we've established and put together. We're not building this group for them to just get back into Champions League and then leave it there. This is a group that we're building for title winners, to win trophies. And that's why, for me, winning a cup this season is absolutely integral because they need to know the mentality. And they do. You hear them speaking. You hear the quotes. They understand. Badiashile, Disasi, Madueke, they've all had quotes in the last few weeks, months, saying, listen, this is Chelsea. This is a place that we need to win, that we need to deliver. There's no time. Now, I'm obviously going to give time because I understand the development of the young players and the under-23s are not just going to just bang immediately. But in games like this, it's a great opportunity for you to state your case. Now, for Pochettino as well, Liverpool, we had that 1-1 draw. That was the quote-unquote only big game you could say we've had this season in terms of top 6 teams. And we drew. And to be honest, we should have won it, in my opinion. Second half, we were a lot better than them. We just didn't take our chances and we didn't, put them to the sword. But it was an encouraging sign opening day of the season. Now this is another opportunity at home. And there was a lot of people that spoke about the away record, of course, as well. We've got some tough away games to come. Got Tottenham, got Manchester United. In this fixture running, in this list, this is a great opportunity to get off to a strong start. And I'm not going to say take the pressure off the other fixtures because we need to continue any momentum that we've built, and we should be going into most of those games trying to take points. I've said it in my predictions. The only game that I'm rubber stamping and saying, do you know what, it might be too far is Man City, and even Man City don't look at their best. But every other game we should be going into thinking, yeah, we can definitely take these, even if we don't. So for me, this is a great opportunity to get off to a great start. Now, my team's on the screen. The Arsenal team is the expected team. And, you know, we've spoken to James about what he thinks is going to be the team as well in the previous videos. Make sure you check that out. My team for this game, Sanchez is of course in goal. Gusto has to be at right back. I know Cucurella has done a good job, serviceable job in the last couple of games, but he hampers us going forward in terms of overlapping on that right wing, in terms of stretching the game. And when Zinchenko's playing on that left back position, which I expect him to do so, we need to try and get at him as much as possible on that right hand side. And that means having a fullback that pushes forward, as well as a Palmer or whoever it will be on that right hand side as well, to double up and to really stretch Arsenal. Make those switches of play with Enzo, get out there to that right side, similar to what we did against Luton. Of course, this is a much tougher test, but same against Liverpool. Get that switch, get those balls out wide as soon as possible and start squaring people up and taking people on and seeing what damage you can cause. Obviously, the centre-backs, at this current moment, Disasi is being assessed. I'm going to make this assumption in my team that he starts because we desperately need him to. And then obviously Silva, and it will probably most likely be Levi Colwill at their left back slot. And if Gusto is at the right back position, it allows him to push forward and Colwill to tuck in and to make it a 3, maybe potentially a 3-2 and build up. And we've spoken about that before on the channel. Colwill, listen, he's been playing very well recently. Set up Madrid for the goal against Fulham. If he's playing on that left back slot, he's going to be going up against most likely Saka. Even if it's Jesus, we saw what Jesus did with Vardiol. It was a tough test for Vardiol that day at the Emirates. That is an area of concern for sure. Let me know down below, would you bring in a Cucurella at left back defensively? Over his Chelsea career hasn't been exactly the best as well, even though he's in good form. So it doesn't necessarily give me more confidence that having him in that position is going to make us more secure. But it is a concern. Obviously, having a centre-back in wide areas squaring up against 1v1 wingers is a bit of a question mark. It's a big test for Colwill. We saw him against Salah. It was a struggle, as expected. Antonio for West Ham, it was a struggle in those areas, shoulder to shoulder. Against Saka, can he bully him? Listen, it will be a tough one. Odegaard will be pulling out there as well. Ben White will be overlapping. The left winger is going to have to work incredibly hard. But let's go through the rest of the team. Midfield has to be, and I think very predictable, Gallagher in the top end of the pitch with Enzo and Caicedo just behind. That midfield three for me is unmovable right now, especially in this massive game. We're not going to dominate possession. We'll have a bit of back and forth. I think it could be a 50-50 in terms of possession. But when we don't have the ball, Gallagher has brought great balance. Tackles, interceptions, he's leading. And he's cleaned up his game from last season massively as well. He's probably going to wear the armband, so he's going to be playing. And that balance has worked very nicely for us. Hopefully, he can put some pressure on the 6. That'll probably be Rice. Make sure, hopefully, potentially, cause some turnovers and get us up the pitch quicker. Like I said, on the right-hand side, I want it to be Palmer, Gusto overlapping. Left-hand side, it will probably be Sterling on the left. I've said it before, I don't mind if it's Sterling or Mudryk. I think both of them could make a case to play. Obviously, Mudryk did very well for his country, Ukraine, in the midweek game against Malta, got the goal, did very well against Fulham. Sterling has done very well against Burnley. It's a toss of a coin. The reason why I'm slightly going towards Sterling is, again, I think Mudryk in that space, potentially in the second half, if the game opens up, he could be devastating off the bench. Sterling, if he's playing at his peak, right now for me is the slightly better player. Obviously he can have his moments of indecision, poor decision making and whatnot, and be inconsistent with some of his actions. But if he's on it like he was against Burnley, he could cause serious problems on that side. But it's a flip of a coin. Up front, again, a man under assessment, Jackson. I need it to be him, because if it's not him, it will probably be Sterling in the false 9, and then it will be Mudryk on the left. And I'm not saying that's a team that I would be angry with, because we have no other option, but there's a lot of things that Jackson brings to the table: spinning a defender, holding up the play, dribbling past players, coming deep and allowing chance creation to come from the center of the pitch and link up with others. If we lose that, is Sterling going to be as strong off the ball in terms of holding up the play against a Saliba and Gabriel? I don't think so. So I really don't want, that's the worst case scenario. I really don't want that to happen if Jackson is not available to start this game. But my prediction is 1-1. I am looking forward to it, but I am also wary of the fact that sometimes these big games just become chess matches and cagey, and we saw it at the Emirates. Will it be that? Both teams, there's a lot to lose, and it could end up folding out into a little 0-0 or a little 1-1. But we'll see. Hopefully we can get the 3 points. I think we've got the talent to do it, but we need to stay clear of these injuries, because this is the only thing that worries me, is the amount of injuries we keep accumulating, the amount of players that are constantly picking up knocks and niggles and are not available and need to be assessed. They're not going into games 100%. Arsenal have their full strength team. Everybody's fit, it seems. And it's down to Arteta to pick the team and whether or not he's gonna tinker, and play games. But he has everybody available, and that's the difference. If we had everybody available, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna say we're gonna win. Like, why not? If Nkuku's out there, Reece James is fully fit. If we've got everybody fit, we can go toe to toe with Arsenal. But there's always this caveat of certain players with knocks and not available, can't quite make it, or it's touch and go. And then I don't like that, especially for a London derby where it's going to be aggressive. Tackles are going to be flying in. Arsenal are a very physical team. We need to be very careful on the set pieces. Declan Rice, Saliba, Gabriel, Partey could play. It's a very physical team. It's not a weak team. Ben White. So that's an area where Sanchez is going to have to mop up and really come out for those crosses. And like I said, that's why Colwell will definitely play for me, because the height, we need to be able to match them in the air, physicality-wise. Something that last season we were bullied. Let's be honest, we were absolutely bullied. Forget technical, we were just bullied. It was boys against men. So that's why for me, Colwell will definitely play, and that's why we need to stand firm. So yeah, hopefully players are available, but right now it's a lot of question marks. We will see. Make sure you let me know in the comments down below your team, your score prediction. Those are the two things I need to know. Your team, your first 11 for Chelsea, and your score prediction. Big up your damn selves as always. Make sure you smash up the likes. Subscribe if you're new. In a bit, people. Peace.